10:30. First item on the workshop agenda is discuss the 911 building lease agreement. That's between, this is between county and the city. The city has voiced opinion wanting to raise our lease payment on that. Ever since its inception, it's been $1,000 a month. They'd like to, they sent us a lease agreement, making a change in that amount, wanting $2,500 per month from October 1st, 2022 for September 30th of 23. This lease has not been renewed. It's actually expired at this time. And then $3,000 a month from October 1st, 23 through September 30th of 2025. I went back and looked at my notes of the meetings that I had with the city and spoke to Gina Bellinger this morning. The mayor wasn't available and the city manager is out ill today. In my notes, and Mr. Bellinger, we have a little bit off in our, but it's pretty much this. In my notes, I have written in $1,500 October 1st through September 30th of 2023 through 2024. $1,500 a month. And that's what we budgeted for 24. I told y'all during the budget meeting that we would need to raise that, and everyone agreed that it's been $1,000 all that time.
Yes.
You can't continue with that, we understand. But we decided we were going to raise that to 15, we would give $1,500 a month. And then my notes also state that we would gradually increase it $500 a month per year from that point forward up to when we get to that $2,500 mark. So anyway, what my notes show is $1,500 2023 through September 30th of 24, and then a $500 increase for 24 through 25, and $2,500 25, 26. So Ms. Bellinger agreed that we needed to get back together and negotiate. So that's where I am with this. I wanted to put it on there just to let you know that those negotiations are ongoing. The city manager and the mayor brought this over to me last week. It was one that they had presented way back when, and I never agreed to any of this. I said, no, I'm not going to do it at this rate. I said that you're jumping, they wanted to jump from 1,000 to 2,500 and then to 3,000. And I said, I know you have repairs and stuff, that sort of thing going on, but that's a lot of repairs. So I didn't agree to any of that. So here we are. So I just want to let you know that I'm going to continue these negotiations, and if anybody else has a different feeling about this, I'd like to know about it. I mean, we can't make any decisions here today. It's a workshop. But I just want to let you know where I am in this lease negotiations with the city.
Well, I'll just say this. This is why my daddy said you never rent. You always own, because they can go up. But the bottom line is this. If you were to rent a commercial facility like that, it would be way more money than what the city is requiring of us. And we appreciate them working with us on that, because look, we're much better together than we are separate, in my opinion. So my only concern is that I believe this is part of the comprehensive ILA in terms of we agree to the lease of this facility. I don't know if this document is attached to that ILA or if it's not. I would say that, Judge, maybe we look into that to make certain that if we're going to make a change to this lease, do we have to make sure that it's not part of that ILA in terms of the numbers?
It just it does state in that ILA is $1,000 a month.
Yes. So we'll have to.
It does give the terms and the length of it, and it's been renewed twice now. It's extended. I shouldn't say it's been extended twice, and right now we're not under lease at the present time.
Okay.
The way it's dated. So I agree that nothing remains the same. I just thought they were a little aggressive in their request for the increases. I thought we need to explore the possibilities of this in another manner. Their conception is that it's a 3,000 square foot building. Where would you lease that
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
$3,000?
it's cheap for that.
Don't disagree.
I don't disagree, but this isn't a commercial building.
Well, and it's also,
And
it's also a partnership.
It is a partnership, and I think we need to kind of respect that as well. So, there are some other things that, you know, that we've upgraded and everything, things that we're responsible for. We give them some very expensive upgrades over time, whereas I haven't seen any upgrades here to speak of. So, anyway, I think the negotiations need to continue on. I just want to let you know that's ongoing, and we'll proceed along.
Well, and I do, it hasn't been that long ago where the Commissioners Court in budget workshops was discussing moving the dispatch, and I believe at that time the city was, we don't feel that you have to, you can still lease this facility's good for you to lease, and so I believe that's why the court didn't move the facility and made some decisions at that point to stay where we were.
Right.
So I think if there is some discussions, look, I don't know their costs, what it costs for them to manage this facility. I don't know any of those numbers. It would be good for them to show us those kinds of things, and for them to understand that this is a partnership. We are providing a service, and I would say an outstanding service to 911 dispatch. So if there are some other issues, we would need to hear them. You know, I'm all ears for that.
The
and-
only thing that Dane Rao came and talked to me about the HVAC system needing upgrading, the generator situation there and that sort of thing, but those are spread out over time. You know, that's not like you got to do it every year type thing.
Yeah.
It's not that type of expense.
20 years on air conditioning usually.
But anyway. yeah.
And we could have a discussion about partnering with them to help with some of those costs. I mean, maybe
That's
we could have
possibility.
those conversations as well. I don't know. I think that would definitely be something the court would need to look at. And look, budget, well, I know we're talking about this, but budget's probably gonna be here sooner than all of us can imagine.
Yes.
And faster
Gee,
than
we're having a
any-
good discussion. Did you have to bring that up?
Yeah, well, that's it.
Okay.
Throw the nasty egg in there.
Right, anyway,
Rotten egg.
that's all I wanted to do is discuss that today, just to let
Alright.
you know this is going on and we'll proceed along. Okay. Unless someone has another idea about how to do that. Okay, item number 2 on the workshop, discuss hotel occupancy tax update on possible changes.
So, commissioners, on this committee, I've been on the hotel occupancy committee, and we have a hot funding committee that is made up of these individuals that we have selected by this court to provide recommendations to the court for how the funding is going. In the past, there was a eligibility committee set out in the interlocal agreement that allowed for that eligibility to come from the city side, and they managed all that. In our last funding cycle, we did not have the eligibility committee review them. I met with Mrs. Eckerman. We got an understanding of how that should work, but there were some changes that were suggested through not only the funding committee, but some of the applicants about the application itself and the tourism bylaws. So on February 14th, which is this Wednesday, we will have a meeting. It's a posted meeting for the hot funding committee to look over the application, make some recommendations, and we've also, Ms. Eckerman and Ms. Joyner will be there. So there will be a discussion had over what those possible changes are, and once we have those possible changes, we can then submit them to the county attorney's office and have our folks review them, the city's folks review them, and then the court can make decisions based upon those policies and if there are changes. The application itself is on the city website. So we've also invited IT from the city to this meeting to have discussions about how that works through their IT department. But that will happen this Wednesday, and so be looking for that. If there are posted changes, they'll be looking for those.
And the meeting is what time?
It'll be at 1:30 on Wednesday.
All right. Any other discussion?
Where will that be held?
It's gonna be at the Engineering and Development Services Building in the conference room in the back building. Shop. I believe Ms. Carter, we posted the agenda, correct?
It is posted.
The agenda has been posted.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay. All right, then, at the courthouse landscape project.
So, Commissioners, if you remember, we decided to stop negotiations with Studio 1619. Yesterday, we met with Terra Labs, which was our second choice, and started the negotiation process. In that process, we had a discussion. I had the downtown. I can't ever think of her name. She's golly, what? She deals with the downtown area. Miss Linden, yes.
Lee
Miss
Linden.
Yes, and she had a discussion with me that there may be a potential opportunity for the county to get some funding through the Texas Historical Commission. I said I was totally unaware of that. She said she was too, but it was because of the way it's structured downtown. So we're going, I let the gentleman from Terra Labs know that we would need to discuss that prior to any further negotiations. And so we will have that discussion, and then we'll discuss that with the Texas Historical Commission to see if there are any funds for us to utilize. We also discussed the layout and the potential meeting schedule, and did a walkthrough of the grounds to evaluate the current conditions of the grounds. Suggestions were made, and we looked into and we will be looking into those as part of the design work. I also gave Terra Labs Mr. Branham's phone number, because he has been instrumental in this project in terms of his knowledge of where we are outside with the sprinkler system and just the general grounds in of itself. There was a conversation that was kind of interesting, because we could actually, if there was there is a possibility to increase the level of parking spots around the courthouse, but it would require way more work. In that conversation, I told the folks from Terra Labs that we could possibly look into that, but that would create a huge change in scope, and that the court would definitely need to see that. This project was started so that we could create some fixes to some things. I didn't realize this, but the 80s is when we redid the whole landscape. There's a little marker out there, all the folks in the community who donated to this project, and it's very nice that we have that level of support from our community. But it also made me understand why there is a need to revisit the landscaping and have it looked into in terms of this situation right here. So I don't know if there are any other questions about that project, but that project's moving along as well. I also made them aware of the ARPA funding deadline.
Okay. And Terra Labs is a local company right here, across the street, is that correct?
Yeah, he has an office on one side of on Park Street. Yes, Park Street.
That one runs over this way?
Yes, that's Park Street, yes.
One with
That
north
one.
and south.
That's the one, yes.
Okay.
He has an office there.
That Park Street, okay, good. Okay, anything else there?
No, that's all I have.
All right, the next up on our list here is the jail kitchen project, which we've already alluded to in court.
So as I explained in court, CGL changed the organizational structure of their company, which the county attorney's office and myself and Commissioner Bullock had a meeting with them. They completely understood our concern, and then we reaffirmed that with GrantWorks. we looked at our next available candidate, and that was DRG. And so today in court, as you know, we approved that, and I'll be reaching out to them after this meeting to start negotiations with them so that we can get that scheduling done, as we are all on a time crunch.
Absolutely.
So,
Very good. Okay, next on our list here is to discuss the Lake Station project. That's the EMS station.
so commissioners, you know, we've been dealing with this for a while. The plans for the lake station. Everything has been it's been a continual process. The soil sampling is completed, and the civil engineering company has been brought on board. So we're moving along in that regard. We met with Keith's Architects to discuss the draft design drawings. Some minor changes were made to those drawings and some suggestions about the layout. The layout is unique. We had to make it more of a pod situation because of the septic and water availability there. So it's going to be a unique layout, but it will be similar to our other layouts. It just will require us to make them into pods. So it's actually a good layout. The judge has been involved in a lot of those discussions. All of the items that we discussed and the changes that were suggested, the architects are going to evaluate those and then give revised drawings to the working group. So the working group can revisit those, and then once we have all of those, I think it may be pertinent to have those drawings reviewed by the court members as well, so everyone understands what's been done. We'll be having another maybe workshop or something that we can show those documents to them. We also met with Bluebonnet Electric at the site to gather information on the options for the electrical build-out. So it's important to get them up early on in the process. We did that. A lot of the, I guess you would call hurdles, were met that day because locating where you're going to pull the electricity in from, visiting with the neighbors, it actually worked out. One of the neighbors came by and was very excited about the station coming there and was willing to help with what we needed. Bluebonnet Electric met with them, and it just turned out to be a really great thing. So we looked at the facility layout and how it would, where we could pose that electrical or put that electrical.
One thing from the media's information about the configuration of the building layout there has been shifted sometime, several times actually. There are a lot of trees on this property, and we've shifted to save as many of those trees as possible. Matter of fact, there's only very few they're going to have to be, and they're actually very small. But according to our agreement with the Corps engineers, for every tree that we remove, we have to plant 10.
Yes.
And that would be a lot of trees on a little piece of ground. So that's another factor there. But mainly, we do not want to just cut trees indiscriminately. So.
And the location, the site location, actually worked out best for where there were fewer trees. And in my opinion,
Absolutely.
I think it worked out best.
It really did.
Being out there and looking at it and seeing how the layout's going to be, definitely would say it worked out the best.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else with that one?
No, sir.
Okay, Financial Committee update.
So the Financial Committee continues to meet monthly to evaluate the county's investments and decisions and to make decisions and recommendations that improve the county's position. I think that we had an opportunity for the court members to go visit with the bank and make some assurances. I was not in the meeting with the bankers and the commissioners, but I do know that out of that meeting came some positive opportunities for the county, and I think what I feel needs to happen is we continue to have these these monthly meetings with the changes that were suggested, some of which is meeting with the, visiting with the county treasurer from the bank. Those folks will be following what the recommendations are within the bid process and bid documents. So I think all in all, I've spoken with Mrs. actually Hollis, about that, and they have made some reassurances to them. I do think that we still need to continue to evaluate our position in terms of the county's investments. If you remember, there's $21 million there, and there is another $43 million in investments elsewhere. So we just have to be continually vigilant about how we manage our money, because it's the constituents' money, and we are the keepers of it.
It is the taxpayer money, you always got to remember that.
Yes. Yes.
Are these reassurances that are already reflected in the contract documents, or do they need to be reflected in the
So,
contract documents?
Great question, because I was actually going to ask that question of you, because one of the reassurances is increasing the pledge. And I believe the pledge amount, if you're gonna increase it, would require us to change the
That's a
document.
substantive change.
Yes, yes it is. And the other changes were, in my opinion, following the document as printed, but I will review that with the county attorney's office, and we can make recommendations to the court. If that, and also the finance committee can look at it as well, so that we make sure that we have all that. I don't even know if we can change that pledge amount, because that was a bid part.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if that's part, we'd have to look into that. You guys would look into that for us and make those decisions based upon legal representation. I
Is
think
the
that
pledge the same bonds, just more bonds? Is
Yes.
that what we're doing? Okay.
a larger number.
Larger number, but the same bonds?
Yes.
Same kind of bonds?
Yes, ma'am.
They have
Yes,
to be
ma'am.
the same kind statutorily.
All right. Any other questions on that?
Okay.
Bank of Brenham.
Anything else about the financial committee? Okay.
Did I miss Kramer?
I said, you said it just.
Oh, good.
Okay, all right.
Because you know, I never know.
Ms. Hollis, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Okay, item number 7. We want to adjourn this workshop. It is 6 minutes till 11.
I make a motion to adjourn the workshop meeting.
Now,
I'll second.
council,
Motion been made.
what happened to all
You
that?
don't adjourn.
All right.
You don't have to vote on